have stood for a lot of regulation on big banks and on the financial services sector. I also represented New York and represented everybody from the dairy farmers, to the to
from
the
Wall
fishermen.
Street to the dairy farm.
Yeah, everybody. And so yes, do I know people and did I help rebuild after 9/11? Yes, I did. But
and did you take money from them? They would say.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with my positions. Anybody who thinks that they can influence me on that ground doesn't know me very well.
All right, so she's doubling down on what she said previous to that, and citing at the debate, the last debate, citing that she represented New York during 9/11 as the reason why Wall Street, helps fund her campaign. Joining us now is Stephen Moore, co-founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, senior fellow with the Heritage Foundation. Good to see you, sir.
Hi, Steve.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Hillary. She wrote a piece about she talked about Dodd-Frank.
Yeah,
she also
today's New York Times.
But you wrote a piece about Hillary's budget blowout and how it seems like her and Sanders are in this race to see who could spend and borrow more than the other.
Yeah, so far Hillary's losing, but she's catching up. So Hillary now, by my calculations, has a little over $1 trillion of new spending. She's called for green energy programs, free child care. She wants to expand Social Security benefits, and then she has this new infrastructure project that she came up with, $275 billion. By the way, this woman who's so devoted to infrastructure is the same woman who last month decided we're not going to build the Keystone XL pipeline because that one doesn't cost the taxpayers a penny. She's only one of the ones that cost a lot.
Yeah.
So this is, where's the money going to come from? And of course she says this conflicts with another promise that she made a few weeks ago where she said, no one in this country who makes less than $250,000 will pay more taxes than me. Now, we've heard those promises time and again. But it's almost mathematically impossible to do this spending and get it only out of the top 2%. I mean, it's not mathematically impossible, but, folks, it's getting pretty close.
All right, so, we'll put national security aside for a moment where her message, if you look at the polls, it's the same as Obama's, and
That's
it's
a big problem. That's
way
a big problem.
underwater.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
But on the economy, she seems to be a fan of Barack Obama.
She did. She said in the piece today in the New York Times, everything's working just fine. And then she had a very ironic statement that you and I were kind of laughing at before the show started, which is she said, no one in America is too big to go to jail. And I thought, gee, was she trying to be ironic there? Because maybe, I don't know, maybe obstruction of justice. Wouldn't you say that's a crime that maybe somebody should go to jail for? She has a whole litany of new regulations she does want to place on the financial sector. She basically wants to double down on the Dodd-Frank bill. As an economist, I think Dodd-Frank is a disaster, Steve. I think it has led to the consolidation of banks. She also wants a new tax on banks that get too big. So think about this. So they're saying, if the bank is too big, we're going to tax it.
Right.
If it's not making enough money, we're going to subsidize it. I mean, is that liberalism to its core?
It's frightening. And it's almost as frightening as when you're talking about the San Bernardino attack and God forbid any other similar attacks. She wants the victims' families to be able to sue the manufacturers of the guns used in the attack, which to me is like if your relative gets hit by a drunk driver, you sue Toyota because he was driving a Toyota.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, but what was stunning about that clip that you just showed, she basically said so openly, I'm for regulation. And I think most Americans, especially the people watching the show who are businessmen and women, they know they're being strangled by regulation.
Yep.
Does anyone in this country really believe we need more regulation to make the economy grow faster? We need way less of it. We need to streamline these regulations. We make them simple, make the laws simple so people know what they are. But this idea that we have this fourth branch of government, which is the regulatory agencies, that are now essentially making the laws, that's not what our Constitution set up.
It circumvents it, absolutely. We have Cruz and Rubio rising in state polls. Trump, national polls doing well. Where do you think we're headed here?
I was just out in Iowa this weekend in Cedar Rapids. Ever been there, Steve?
No.
Have you been to Cedar Rapids? I was in Cedar Rapids, and there were 5 presidential candidates. I was part of a big forum that was held, and Carly Fiorina was there, and Ben Carson was there, and Christie was there, and Rand Paul was there. And one of the things I discovered, by the way, they all were fantastic, I thought. They really were on message, in stark contrast to Hillary. But one of the things that really struck me, I probably talked to hundreds of people in the audience, and I think most Iowans, I would say 70% have not made up their mind. So these polls, they don't mean a lot, Steve. They don't. You know, and think about the last 2 or 3 caucuses in Iowa. A lot of times it's a surprise. Where did Rick Santorum come from, or where did Mike Huckabee come from? You know, so I guess what I'm saying is, don't be surprised if you're surprised about what happens in Iowa, and don't be too swayed by these. And you know, people are also practical. These are staunch. They're very hardcore conservatives for the most part who came to this, but they want to win too. They want a candidate. They understand what we're talking about Hillary.
They might be shifting back to the establishment.
Well, I don't know if they want establishment.
No, but I said what's offered in this group as a Cruz or a Rubio.
Exactly.
Yeah, that might be the case.
And Cruz was excellent, by the way. You know, Cruz
usually is.
He understands the Constitution.
And so do you. Stephen Moore for Treasury Secretary, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming back with, thank you, Steve. We're coming back with Gimme 5. Don't go away.